So this is the third part of homework number 6 tutorial, and this is on presentation mode. So what presentation mode does is it allows you to select particular objects within your patch and just view those objects and not view other objects, which makes the ability to see the most important elements that you're going to interact with in your patch and not see everything else. So it makes it much cleaner. So what we have to do is go ahead and select objects that we would want to include, that we would interact with. So first I would select these, and which are the selection of sine tones, the detuning, and the polysynth. And you can right click and hit add to presentation. Then I would also select all of these down here, the tilde, the reverb, this easy DAC, even though that it's not connected up, it's a good easy way to turn things on and off, and also the analysis here. So connect or click add to presentation for that. Up here, this is already selected. It's got a kind of a pink hue highlight around it, so that I already selected that before. You can go ahead and select your sliders and the preset object and add to presentation, and then select these number boxes from the amplitude or the ring modulation and add to presentation. Okay, so now we have the objects that we want to see. Now in order to get into presentation mode, what you need to do is you need to hold down Command Option at the same time and then press the E key. And you notice everything disappears except for those objects. So now what it is a matter of doing is organizing them. And let's organize them in the way that we would think of our basic synthesis model, which was oscillator, filter, amplifier, although we don't have a filter in our model yet. So the first thing we can do is the key C on the keyboard just allows you to be able to type in or get a box that you can type some text in. So let's give a title for our synth. So polyphonic synth. And if you hit shift and drag one of these, you can just, it's a quick way to get that a larger size. So this will be the title. We can put it up over here. If you hit if you hit N for new and type in panel, give you this blank colorful panel, and just like to make things organized, to title it in a way that gives it some sense of organization. And you can say send to back and then position that. So now we have some sort of title for what it is that we're doing. The first thing we can say in our chain is we're going to get a note, so we can type C, and we can type MIDI note and position that here. And then the next would be our synths, or our oscillator. So we have oscillator 1 and oscillator 2. And the second one can be detuned. So we can type oscillators. Okay. The next would be the amplitude envelope. So we can bring these together and make them a little bit bigger just so we can interact with them a little, see them a little bit easier. And we can copy and paste that and put there we go. And we don't have that many presets yet, so we can probably take this and stretch it down to fit about there. We can bring our polyphonic synth in here. Put it there. The next thing that we have in our chain is some synthesis. We can drag these up here, and we can say LFO, tremolo, and ring modulation, and we can just number this. We can label each one. This is frequency, and then copy and paste that. say pitch. Bring these in. And let's just number this 1 and 2. Just so we know what they are, can understand what we're looking at. Okay. The next would be the last we could say would be the gain in the amplifier, because we're going to pass this through reverb before we go out. So this will be our effects. And then we have some analysis here. We just type in. And then amplifier. Okay, so now we basically have a usable patch with only the elements that really we really need to see. And this is always a good thing to do when you get to a point where you're ready to start interacting with the patch and you're finished building it. So I'm just trying to tuck everything up close. So another thing that's a good idea, actually we don't need this windowed FFT, we can click remove from presentation and just maybe give this a title. And just say Fourier analysis. Bring this up and we can stretch it out and maybe reduce it a little bit. And then after we've done that, we can bring the window up and close it in on this. Okay, so now we have our patch kind of neatly reduced and compressed. And I try to compress this as much as possible because especially if I'm working with multiple windows that have different things going on, it's always a good idea to make these presentations as small but as usable as possible so that you have computer screen space, enough computer screen space. Okay, so now we've organized it. We want to save that to make sure we doesn't crash and we lose everything. Now, before we finish with this, we want to go to View up on the maxmsp window and go to Patcher Inspector. Patcher Inspector is where we can make specific choices on the presentation view. So the first thing we want to do is we want to open this in presentation view every time that we open the patch. Otherwise, if we're coming to a performance, we're about ready to load everything up and start, you don't want to have to click on the patch and then put it in presentation view. It's just easier to move it into presentation view or open it in presentation view. So that's the first thing. Then we can lock it, and if we go back to, hold on, move that out of the way. If we go back to presentation view again, the other thing is Patcher Inspector, presentation view. We want to change the background color. I like to change the background color just because it gives me a sense of what it is that I'm working with. And often I feel if I have multiple patches open, if they're different colors, then it helps me kind of quickly identify what it is that I'm working on. Okay, so now if we save that, now everything is saved, and now we have this workable patch that we can change, move all kinds of settings around just by clicking on iPad and also seeing all the effects. How we can see the note, the pitch change. We can see when we change our envelopes. We can connect more control up, so we could also connect control to select the sine, to select the oscillators. We can set another control, connect up to OSC to be able to select the detuning, and then we can also do the same thing for sliders that will be able to change the frequency of the pitch and the ring modulation, or we could also have a preset for this as well. And then We could also create another slider to control the overall amplitude. So that would be another way to automate this and make it more interactive. The final thing, which I also suggest as well, maybe I'll do a special tutorial on this, is that it would be good to be able to make a master preset patch. So suppose you found some really interesting combinations that you wanted to be able to quickly pull up that have different combinations of ring modulation and detuning of oscillators and even an envelope. You could create a master preset that would allow you to, and connect it to all the different things that you wanted to save, so that it wouldn't just save amplitude data, it would save ring modulation data and oscillator data, or maybe amplifier level data, so that all you had to do is press one button on your OSC control and it would switch everything all at once. So as we get closer to our instrument design in the last week or so, last couple of weeks of class, we'll probably do another tutorial, maybe even in class, to make some sort of master controls that would set many different parameters, almost like a preset sound that you can pull up in Thor. We can do the same thing with here with a master preset buttons. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial.